going around this way. There's a motor that pulls the cutter head across. There's a diamond stylus in the. You can see that little tiny point down there.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to cut the groove. So the music comes from over there on the computer through all this gear, into the cutter head,
right.
And then it's just like a speaker works. It just vibrates back and forth.
Right.
It just cuts a groove depending on what the sound.
Same way Edison did that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it moves laterally across
Right.
with a motor. And I space it. I manually can change the speed of the lateral movement by creating little spaces in the lead-in groove and the lead-out. As it's cutting, that little brass tube you see down there will have vacuum attached to it.
Oh, okay.
And that will suck the outcut groove out.
Instead of the old
Yeah,
brush.
instead of doing it with a brush.
Brush, yeah.
And that's what this looks like.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
And, for a single record, this is going to be miles long, So that just sucks it out and deposits it into this canister, and then that's kind of the way it works.
That's great.
So I got one queued up, and you can actually take this home, and you've got to probably get a pretty good system at home. You can see what you think of it.
I'm going.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to drop the cutter head here, like this, and it's starting to cut a groove. And I'm going to create a manual lead-in, which is where you drop this clip, and we'll start the music. And now you can start to hear. You can actually hear it if you listen carefully.
Oh.
But we want to hear what it actually sounds like, so we're going to drop the tone arm on there. And now we can hear what's actually playing.
Yeah.
We can actually send sounds back and forth between the source.
Oh.
Is the source? Record. It's the source. There's a record. Little delay between.
Yeah.
I monitor the level there.
Who are we listening to?
It's a guy that did a record here back in the fall. His name's Griffin Robillard. I think this is going to drop in September of this year.
No relation to Duke?
No. He came here. He's graduating from Boston College right now, probably.
Oh.
This last weekend, maybe, and he's going to be touring here in the fall. You listen to a lot of vinyl at home? Some here and there?
I have a player, but it sits behind the CDs. I have a dual turntable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, from the 70s. Yeah, vinyl has just saved Waterloo's bacon. You see how much of that floor space is now.
I said, that's the question. So you calculate the times for how much you can put on?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is, there's only so much real estate on a record.
Right, yeah.
And so if you think about audio waveforms, if you look at one, a bass waveform is wider than a treble waveform. So the two things that affect how much you can get onto a side are the volume, which is also,
Right.
and also how much bass there is. And so a normal 12-inch LP at 33, kind of the optimal sort of time is 18 minutes per side.
Yeah, it used to be 22. If I.
Oh, you can get up to that. I mean,
I mean that was the standard for
yeah. So between
radio
18,
stations.
yeah,
when you were
18 and 20. And so I mean, I go to about 22, and that's sort of where I go. But there's a way to automate the distance between the grooves by monitoring the source. So that's what this guy does right here. It monitors the source, and it listens to it, and then it delays it a second, and then it changes the motor depending on what's coming at it in terms of bass frequency or volume. So it's called a groove controller. You can see as the bass notes are hitting, it's going up. So that's like a kick drum or a bass note.
Yeah.
And so it optimizes. That's how you can get 22 minutes on there instead of 18. Is that,
And what do you do to create the? Well, I guess the silence is you just let it go with no.
yeah, there's
music.
silence in the master, and so
Okay.
I mean in between songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the silence is in the master, which you'll hear in a second. And I create the space here. I'll show you. I just kind of move it manually, and it accelerates the motor just a little bit and moves it. But the space is in the source, actually.
Yeah.
The sound space is in the source.
This is really interesting. So this thing on the right is cutting it, and the thing on the left is
It's
playing
listening
it
to
by
it,
the
so
time it comes
it's
in.
a delay, yeah. So
Wow.
you can see on the master here,
Oh, yeah.
we're coming up to the end of it. So I know now where the end is, and I create a space here,
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Just created a little,
Right.
you can see the little,
So you've got this time that this thing will total up to 22 when it
well,
gets,
this,
or the last
this actual set is only like 15.
15.
So
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna do the whole.
Yeah, I might as well. I mean,
Okay, good.
so
Love
that's
it.
okay. I can give it to you.
No,
it's
I'd
kind
love
of
it.
boring to watch on a video, but
No, I'd love it. Yeah.
And what I have to do is when I change, like this morning I was cutting 45s, the stack you
Right.
saw out there.
Yeah.
It's a different speed, and so I have to adjust the motor, the turntable platter speed. And when you take this home, if you listen to it, the first side on one of the songs has a little speed variation where you can hear me adjusting it. It's just
The first side. So there's something on the other side of this.
yeah. I did the other side this morning. I was just doing the test.
And that's a different artist, or?
Same one.
Oh, same guy. Okay. Same songs.
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm getting a
You're getting
complete album. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's great. Now, when you do the 45s, what's the max time on that?
Well, so there's another thing that happens that's related to that. As you move towards the center of the record, you suffer what's called diameter loss, and so the quality of the audio goes down the closer you get to the center. And so, and that is mitigated by speed. So a faster speed. That's why the 7 inches are 45. There's more speed, and you have a narrower diameter.
Yeah.
You can put 33 on a 7-inch, but it just doesn't quite sound as good. So
Columbia did that in 49, 50.
and if it's like trashy metal music, then it's not going to sound.
No.
If it's very acoustic and kind of warm, it's not going to harm it at all. But generally speaking, a 45 is like 4 minutes.
You can get 4. Okay.
Yeah. You can get. I like those this morning. They're almost 5. It's way too narrow, but.
Yeah, if you're doing with rock bands, it's like they did that. Yeah.
It's just an artifact,
Yeah. MacArthur's Park was 2-sided though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
that was 7 minutes. Yeah.
I think you had to flip that.
Yeah. The earliest one of those I remember is Shout. Just part 1 and 2, but 2 became the hit. So
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, part 2 became the hit. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do 10 inches. I even do some 8 inches, which are kind of rare. No one I've seen anybody doing those. Those are kind of cool.
I haven't seen those since 1904 or 5 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy in Germany makes those for me, and the vinyl is different too. It's a little bit. It is polyvinyl chloride. It is vinyl.
Right.
But it's a little bit different formulation. These blank discs. So this is kind of what they look like. They come to me like this. They have a sealer on them.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's kind of what they look like when they arrive. But they're made in a factory in Germany by this guy.
Same guy that made the whole unit.
I don't think that's his plant, but
No.
but this is an interesting thing. He's in this little town south of Stuttgart, and you got to fly to Stuttgart and take the train or drive a couple hours south. And he's in this beautiful, bucolic German town right on the edge of the Black Forest.
Yeah.
And he has a shop, kind of the size of that room, maybe not this small, where he has the putters and speakers, and he will train you on using this there. But in the next building, there's a big metal shop, and it's like all this kind of World War II era metal stuff.
Okay.
Now we're going to create another gap.
Okay.
And they have these big metal lathes and presses and brakes and stuff. One of them you have to actually sit in and you move with your hips. I mean, it's just a crazy old. And they hand fabricate all this stuff. He and this other guy. I mean, there's really. It's not like you get rich doing this. I don't really even know why he does it. His age, but it's really a cool thing.
Well, so you have somebody that's going to carry on?
Yeah, I think there's a guy here in the States who's become kind of a protege of his. I think, who's become a friend of mine. But
it'd be such a shame if.
Yeah, he's very secretive. You'll notice there's nothing on any of the buttons.
Yeah.
He doesn't tell any. And if you open them up, all the chips have the numbers filed off.
Ooh.
He's just this crazy.
So you have to know what each of those knobs meant.
He spends a day with you, but then it takes a long time. It took me a year to kind of get this thing optimized so it works the way I want it.
That's neat. No, it sort of reminds me, it's not quite the same, it's on the reproducing side, but they have this machine called the Archaeophone that was created in France, and it will play any cylinder, 20 inches, whatever,
Oh, cool.
And it's not the laser thing, it's actually using a stylus and so on, and it costs, I think, $35,000 or something like that. And libraries, there's maybe 100 of them. I don't know if somebody will correct me.
Manufactures them now?
He hand makes them custom to order, and it's
Really?
so our sound archives sometimes share them. Kurt Nock, who has the big record auction and so on, member of ours, he has one, and he does a radio show when he has his auctions. He plays all these really rare things, and he'll play anything, and it's got all kinds of different styluses. Yeah, you should really check out the website for. It's not archeophone.com. That's a record label, but
how's it spelled?
ARCHEOPHONE. Yeah, I'll send you the link. But yeah, but it's fascinating to see how it does. And then, of course, now people are talking about doing digital. I can't think of the name of the machine that they were talking about at ours that uses laser.
Oh, yeah.
So Irene. And the question is the sound as good that way?
Yeah. Is that cutting a disc?
No, this is just the opposite.
Oh, is it?
These are playing back records. You got a broken. Well, the cylinders are different kinds. Some people made personal ones or the speed or something. But the other is for discs that can be cracked and all that. Yeah.
So they can.
They're using a laser to capture the sound. And that's how the phonograph, which was before Edison, the first recording of human voice, was done and played back. And the guy at laboratories, Lawrence Berkeley Laboratories, created something, and so all they had was the what do they call it? Wax, not wax. There's a flat piece of paper where the guy had recorded it on the cylinder, and now it was flat, and he was able to use the computer to get.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really neat.
Yeah, you'll get a bunch of this stuff once. Now that you're an ARSC member.
Yeah. So they send out a newsletter or something?
Yeah. Well, you'll get a news. The journal should be in your mailbox in the next week. That comes out semi-annually. But the most important thing you'll find is that they have a member section, and all the conferences we've given for the last 40 years or so, every paper, everything you missed will be available at the end of August, and you can search for a subject. So you can search for Archaeophone, and there'll be a paper on it.
That's great.
And they're MP3s, and they're downloadable with PDFs. Yeah, there's some of these
really
sessions you're really gonna.
I was so glad you turned me on.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like I would have loved to have gone to the conference. I just couldn't.
Yeah. No, I explain to people if you can't. Well, you're close, and you had the other thing. But if you're if you can't come for $45, you get because you're everything for the last 4 years.
Yeah. So, then at the end, I'm going to let it stop by pushing a button here, and it'll stay in one spot and create a lock screw.
This is the lead out groove.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can see it moving across there.
Oh yeah.
And I'll stop it right by the label, and then we're going to 1, 2, 3. Now we've got a lock screw.
Right.
And the cutter's up. And now this tone arm is just sitting in that lock screw.
Yeah.
Pull it up, and then I just crank this thing back, take the heat off. That softens the disc. That heat there has to be.
Where's the heat coming from?
This.
Oh, the lamp. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a lamp used for terrariums and keeping reptiles warm. Now we move that back over there to its home position. Turn these off. It's a turntable. This motor. These techniques, these old techniques,
right.
1200s have great motors in them. But this has a 7-pound platter on top of it that is also, so the motor is then works adjacent with this other motor that has a belt across the platter there, so that keeps its speed steady. So there we have it.
Wow.
That's it.
That's Griffin Robillard.
Yep.